So my entire backyard is full of stuff that doesn't run. And I was kind of laying in bed thinking, I'm like, I gotta move a bunch of this stuff around. I usually do that with my EV, my golf cart, but I think it might be easier if I try to get this 1977 Ford, as a savvy TikTok subscriber pointed out to me. It's got no accelerator pump. It idles good. And see if I can't get this wrecker rig operational so I can move some of this junk around. My name's Jason, and this is Grease Belly Garage. Come on. There we go. Come on, baby. Ah. I was at least smart enough not to close the hood all the way because I had such a hard time opening it the last time. I was also smart enough to bring my platform, my fat boy platform, so I can reach all the stuff I need to get to. Oh yeah, this is great. First thing we'll do is yank this fuel line off. I have a brand new set of ratchet wrenches in the garage. Why I don't bring those with me, I don't understand at all. Well, there went my wrench. I see a vacuum port and a drywall screw down in the bottom here. I got this new workbench that somebody pointed out to me on the side of the road, so now I own it. It's got my new Duralast tool. It's not rated for somebody of my size. So if you see me tumbling off or you hear some kind of desperate moaning, that's going to be me laying on the floor. I went through all that hard work to find the 6-in-1 screwdriver. There's lots of things missing off this carburetor too. I don't think the electric choke has worked in who knows how long. Fortunately, we don't need chokes that much here in Florida. Some of the people need choke before the engines do, if you know what I mean. Just come down here and drive around for about a week. It's like the Wild West with, you know, horseless carriages around here anymore. There it goes. It's right apart. There's the float. It seems to be pretty good shape. Well, it's going to be a good day primarily because I found one of those pairs of cheaters. They're in like brand new condition still too. I also found a little chrome air cleaner I bought for this thing probably 2 years ago. Oh, that feels like high quality plastic there. Oh, there's some kind of an adapter that was supposed to be on here that I lost. Yep, now that comes out. Boy, I hope I remember how all this stuff goes. The plot thickens. Hopefully there's instructions in here. This C-ring off, C-clip. Hopefully not lose it. And I bent this other one. How did I do that? They're pretty proud of this stuff these days. I think back in the 80s when I worked at the parts store, I think this stuff was like 12 bucks. 8 bucks, 12 bucks, something like that. And a lot of people bought it back then. Especially a lot of the old timers that came in the store in the 80s. You know, back in my day, you know, those guys. Now the stuff's like, I think this thing was like $47. When you put these things in this cleaner, don't leave them in there for like a week, because when you get them back and get it out, it just disintegrates the whole thing. It's just, you pull out like a blob of pot metal. I only put these in for maybe an hour or so these days. That's good enough. Actually, this doesn't look very old. Oh, that's probably still good. I may just continue using that because it looks like somebody's done the float, needle and seat, and the fuel filter. They probably just didn't do anything on the rest of the carburetor, and they certainly didn't clean it. I may have to shut the video off and play it back so I can put this thing back together. Okay, got it all cleaned up, at least as clean as I want to have it. So the most important thing I had to do is on this bottom throttle plate or throttle body or whatever you call it, is to make sure that this isn't loose anywhere with these bushings, and it's not. It's in really good shape actually. And the problem with this thing here, the reason they had that screw in there, I've determined, that the screw was not reachable from while it was installed on the truck. So they just jammed a screw in there to take up some space to hold it steady or hold it in place or whatever. So I took one of the best tools I've ever bought, which is one of these. It's a vise crescent wrench, and clamped it in there and broke that screw loose and got it moving back and forth properly. Now the problem is I don't remember how this stupid thing goes back together, so this is not a tutorial. This is just me wasting more time. Okay, we're making a little progress here. The mongrel screw that was in this throttle plate right there, if you can see that. Let me I'll turn it up. There we go. This mongrel wood screw or sheet metal screw or stainless screw was in here, wedged in here before. By the way, there's a few different gaskets that go around this throttle plate thing that come in this kit. So you're gonna have to go through them and get the right one out. This was the original screw that went right here. And the last few rows of threads are stripped on that. So that's why somebody took this screw and wedged it in there. So what I did is I went and took this screw out of that old Quadrajet from the neglected square body I was working on that I pronounced dead, and took one of the electric choke screws out, and it was a little coarser thread, so I just powered it right through the old fine thread, and it's on there really good now. So we should be good here. The rest of my work I'm not so sure about yet. I haven't refreshed a carburetor in a very long time, but I think it'll be okay. This seems to be pretty simple after all. And I got the new accelerator pump in down there, the diaphragm, the springs, metering rod. Seems to be, well, my metering rod came out. Let's not go celebrating just yet. Okay, I'm back at it again. I got that little problem with the metering rod is kind of solved now. Apparently that happens to everybody. The metering rod falls out. So I also want to say that these instructions that come in these carburetor kits, they're like a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. So they're not the clearest things in the world, but there's lots of good YouTube videos on how to do this. And I was right on the right track, so I'm pretty proud of myself for not having done this in a long time. Now we're just about level. And then there's like a float drop you can measure from here to here, and a float something you measure over here. But we're not going to do any of that because I think this carburetor's junk anyway. Starting a YouTube channel on how to waste time is what I did. Well, I found 3 empty rolls of Teflon tape before I got one that had some Teflon tape on it. I'm going to silicone off these vacuum plugs, and if I need them, I'll just pry the crap out of there. Carburetor, gasket, there's my nuts. I guess I'm going to be crawling on the ground getting that wrench after all. Oh boy. I lost my magnet, but I forgot I had this with me. Looky there. Well, lo and behold, look what was in the front seat. The little air cleaner, Duber. These old Ford trucks have a pretty perfect spot for a boat tank. I think my hose are all worn out. Is that the carburetor filling up? Let's just see what happens. I should have tightened that a bit more, huh? I think all this hose that was on this truck is probably NFG. Seems like every junker I get doesn't have a choke. Every single one. There. It's sort of choked, and I don't see any more gas leaks. Okay, we started having a little steam coming out of the radiator, so I'm going to investigate that before I run this thing too hard. But we do have accelerator pump. Fires right up. If I can get my big legs in here. Steam coming out already. Okay, that's the next morning. I topped off the coolant here. Played with the carburetor, got it running better now. I don't think it's running hot, but I don't see much water moving either. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. I don't know how reliable this is, but the gauge is staying cool. The brakes actually seem to work. We got pedal. So I'm getting ready to test out the PTO if I can figure out how to do it. All right, it's the best I can do with the camera angle. Let's see it. Well, this is comfortable. Let's see what happens here. Well, here we go. Well, it moves under its own power. Very cool. I'm not even too fat to drive it. Oh man, definitely got an exhaust leak. Let's see if I can't ram my buddy's goose head. Goose head? Goose head's like a... Goose head's like... No, that's not overalls, that's duck head. Goose neck. See if I can't ram my buddy's goose neck trailer real good. I think something in the suspension ain't liking it too much. Alright, let's see how close we are here. Temperature gauge is still reading good. See if I can't make this thing lift something. The power steering pump started trying to work. Running pretty good, but I cannot get this PTO to engage. I mean, just listen to this. That old YFA carburetor is a pretty good little unit, you know. I don't know about y'all, but I just love stuff like this. So it's been turned off for, I don't know, 5 minutes or so. I'll just watch. This fires right up. No mover nada, see? No. Well, I see there's a pair of vice grips on it, so maybe that's part of the problem. Okay, un momento, un momento. Okay, hace. No. Yeah, I think this thing is just, it's somehow locked up, it feels like. Well, it moved. Okay, we got PTO. Let's see what happens. It works. There it comes out. Okay, we got lots of noise coming from the PTO, so we're gonna grab some kind of oil and oil that thing up. That truck there doesn't have any front tie rod ends connected, so one wheel is all the way to the left and one wheel is all the way to the right.
Ahí?
Nope, no bueno.
No bueno.
Maybe aquí.
O aquí?
A vuelta este. A vuelta.
Ahí?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. Okay.
Okay.
Yo lo checo. Okay, when I got this wrecker, it didn't have all the doodads, the bars and the flaps and all that. So we had to improvise, and I'm only going to use this thing just around the yard. So I think I can make some kind of a system work with this. I got to check that PTO and that gearbox on that winch and see what's going on with it. I think it's got a bad bearing. There it goes. Towards this wreck in the hood. Okay. Now I can move it. Okay, so the plan is to push the wrecked Volkswagen out of the way for the moment with the wrecker and put this about where the Volkswagen is, but up in the shade. 2 for 1. Sí. Dile hola a la YouTube.
Hola.
Oh, I'm going to talk to you guys in Spanish. This guy lives in one of my rental properties and he's really good. He comes and helps me. Carlitos,
Hola.
¿estás de Chivas, sí?
Todo bien.
Ya, como yo. Ok, gracias, muchas gracias.
Gracias, gracias.
Gracias.
De nada. Eso arriba.
No,
Arriba.
arriba. Sí, arriba.
Aquí, Carlos.
Sí. La línea de la llanta hasta adelante, Carl. Sí, Carlos, sí. I got this friend that likes these Volkswagen diesel engine TDI thingies, and he's got about 9 of them now, and about 9 of them don't run right. So, sad thing about Volkswagens is they had these diesel engines, and they were really good engines, but the rest of the car, you know, it was like a really good engine wrapped in a pile of crap. This one is wrecked that we got at the insurance auction a couple years ago. I mean, like 7 years ago. And we took the drivetrain out of it for another one. Never did anything with that. Still sitting in my shop. Now it's time for this thing to go. So I'm gonna use my newly refreshed wrecker and shove this thing up on my car trailer.
Sí, el cambio.
Well, I just wasn't getting any traction with the wrecker. Kept spinning the tires, the doble rodados, as my friends would say. Hopped in my excursion with the big old cattle catcher on the front. I'm gonna shove that Jetta right up on that trailer. Tell you what, that's a pretty good looking old wrecker though. I like it. Kind of makes me want to name myself Crazy Cooter. Okay, about 45 minutes later, this has turned into a total comedy of errors here. We had to pump the front tires up on this chunk Volkswagen a little bit more because it kept hanging up on my plywood on the trailer, and then put a floor jack on the side to clear the rear axle. So I think the days of the plywood being on the back side of this trailer are pretty much numbered. You know, it's just the way it goes. But the old 7.3 Power Stroke just jammed it right up there. No problemo. Okay, this is, like I said, this is my good friend Manuel. Him and his friend Carlos, now my friend Carlos, have been a great help today.
Thank you.
Mucho caliente, huh?
Mucho caliente, amigo.
Mucho caliente. So I'm going to turn them loose a little early today and throw them a few extra bucks because it has been hot today. Super hot. But we made a big dent in a lot of things. I'm going to show you around here what I did. So, adios, Manuel. Dile adios.
Bye.
Okay, one of my missions for today was to clean up all these. This is the corner where my friend's Volkswagens previously resided for, I don't know, probably 8 years or so by now. And I wanted to clear this out so we can rearrange everything and I can put all the cars in this corner so I don't upset my neighbors too much with all the junk that I've got. I'll just store them out here, kind of like my own storage lot, and take them up to the garage when they need to be grease bellied or whatever. So I'm pretty happy with this. This has been bugging me for a long time, probably about a year. It's always good to get home projects done. And I really can't say enough about this old F-350 wrecker. I mean, it's rough around the edges, but what a usable little rig it's gonna turn out to be. At least until I get tired of it and buy a little tractor maybe. Or until I get tired of doing all this crap altogether and just go buy myself a new Durango Hellcat. So I did find out the brakes don't work as good as I thought. I took it down the road and I had to downshift to slow that rig down. I'm gonna order an Amazon carburetor for it so I'll have a choke too. I'm not gonna spend the rest of my life with this thing choking it manually every time I want to start it. So you'll be seeing this in future videos when I jump cars off or move them or whatever. So you can look forward to that. And the heart of the matter with the wrecker was to get this thing from way back, well, it was way back there beside that gooseneck trailer for the longest time. I wanted to get it up here in this shade tree so I could take an afternoon and strip all the eBay items off of it. It does have some desirable options on it. And I just can't stand to haul something off to the junkyard without, you know, getting that cargo light out, and a headliner trim, and probably the door hinges are still good on it, a couple of mirrors, and I might even keep those vintage rims that are on it, vintage chrome wagon wheel looking things. Today was a productive day. It's always good to have a productive day and to get something running and operating at the same time. Too hot to do anything else for a while, so I'm gonna go hibernate or escape or run and hide somewhere for a few hours, and I'll probably come back out and start hacking at something else. And even if you don't like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And you can follow me on all the other social media, Grease Belly Garage. Make sure you pound that notification bell. I really appreciate you guys watching, and I will catch you guys on the flip side.
See you next time.
All right.
Tune in again.
Thanks for watching.
Yep.